Howdies. Whoa, buckaroo. What do you think you're doing? You know the great thing about not having an intro? Well, that's the part because I can do literally anything I want. Now get out of here, this is my channel. Look at that Phoenix guy. He thinks he can get the spotlight for everything. No, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are just going to do whatever we like to do. And today's topic is Jedi Fallen Order. This is a video I've had on my mind for quite some time, though I never really thought I would be able to get to making it. Oh, guess what, buckaroo? I'm making it. So welcome to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo, because we're going to strap in our light-speed lightsabers and go fight Darth Vader, and then the Emperor will zap us with lightning, but we can throw him down a reactor shaft. It's alright. But just before we start, I just want to tell you, this video is sponsored by Gotcha. Now, let's start the video before I start rambling on some other nonsense. So, I'm not the biggest video game guy when it comes down to it. I never receive video games when they come out, as soon as they come out. And even if I do receive a popular game, I would have probably received it like 2 years after the game came out. Though I still play these games, and I still think they're interesting to talk about. So even though I know to most people Jedi Fallen Order is a dead topic, I thought I could talk about it just a little bit. And give my thoughts on it. So I already talked, so I don't think I gave my review on Jedi Fallen Order. So if I were to give my quick thoughts on it, it's a really fun game that doesn't have it's a really fun game with good graphics, a well-told story. I don't think it has very good replay value. This game never made me want to go back and play it again, though I do admit that combat is phenomenal, and difficulties are just, they're so painful, especially considering if this is one of your first games. But overall, it's a good game. I would give it a nice solid 8 out of 10. But that's not what I'm talking about today. Today I'm talking about what I think should happen in Jedi Fallen Order 2. So for those who don't know, the Disney and EA did announce that they're planning on making a Fallen Order sequel. So Jedi Fallen Order 2 is going to take place after Fallen Order, and we get to continue the adventures of Cal Kestis. And even though not too much information has been revealed about it, I want to give my thoughts and predictions as to what I want to see in that game, or at the very least, what I think should be in there. Keep in mind, this is more of like a fan fiction kind of thing, and not really confirmed or anything. So these are just my personal thoughts and opinions. Take them with a grain of salt. Do not get mad at me. So one of the first things I think should be in the sequel is that the skill tree should be an actual part of the plot. So for those who don't know, in the original Fallen Order game, we have this thing called a skill tree. This is where as you progress on in the game, you get these skills, and these skills are sort of like your in-game currency, where you can buy skill points and such. Well, not skill points, but where you can buy skills and such. So your skill points buy skills, and these skills can be, double jump, or double-bladed lightsaber, or you can throw your lightsaber in a circle. These unlock new moves for you, essentially. And so with the unlocking of new moves, you can become fight your enemies better. And so what I think should happen in Fallen Order 2 is that since the people who played Fallen Order 1 have already unlocked their skill tree, it would be weird in Fallen Order 2 if Cal Kestis sort of forgot all his old moves. Obviously, he would need to find a way to get new moves, I should say. And I really like the way they did it with the Spider-Man games, if I should say. For example, Peter Parker, we start the game off with him trying to unlock his skill tree. This is the first time we're playing as Peter, even though in-game he's been Spider-Man for 8 years. It makes sense. In the next game, Miles Morales, this is from Miles' point of view. Miles has only been Spider-Man for about a year. So obviously, he's gonna learn all these new skills. That way, they make the skill tree a part of the story. That's what I think they should do for Jedi Fallen Order, the sequel. What I think they should do is, since in the first game, he forgot all his old skills, you spend the rest of the game trying to relearn those skills so that you can fight the final boss at the end. And I think they should do something similar for Jedi Fallen Order season. I keep saying season. My mind is still on the movies and TV shows and such. I think they should do the same thing for Jedi Fallen Order 2. I don't know if I should call it part 2. I'll call it part 2 for now, even though I don't know. But I think that's what they should do for Fallen Order part 2. Reason being, because you can't have Cal forget all his skills. That'll just be repetitive. You already spent the entire first game learning all these skills. It wouldn't make sense if you've got those skills and then you have to relearn them in part 2. So in my opinion, what you should do for part 2 is, instead of having him forget his skills, introduce new skills and have him purposefully go out to learn these skills. Have it be his mission to go out and learn these skills. Then you're like, okay, fair enough. But how do you do this from a story perspective? Well, think about it. At the end of Fallen Order Part 1, Carl loses the battle against Vader. And Vader, you don't even get a chance to fight Vader. In the final level, the game doesn't even give you a chance to fight Vader. Really, the only thing it allows you to do is run away from him and dodge his attacks. That's how dangerous Vader is. So what I think is, Carl will be so embarrassed from his loss to Vader that he feels, I cannot lose to this guy. I need to level up. I need to become as powerful as him, if not more powerful, so that I can fight Darth Vader and end up saving the day. And, let the Jedi and the rebellion continue. So what would happen is we would spend the majority of Jedi Fallen Order 2 having Carl, go and practice new moves, learn new skills, so that by the time we get to the end of the game, he can fight Vader, and it's an actual boss battle. At the end of Fallen Order 1, we never had a chance to fight Vader, just so the game could show us that he really is an unstoppable force. So what I think is, for the second game, instead of having Vader be an unstoppable force, have him be stoppable, but still really strong. Have him be a really powerful boss. And that's why I say it would take all of our skills, every skill we learned throughout the game, to finally get back at Vader. And we have an epic boss battle. Obviously, Vader will still win, but it would have been a nice game where we spent the entire game going from point A to point B, learning these new skills, so we can fight Vader in the final battle. And even though we'll still lose, we'll still accomplish the skills. And on top of that, we don't have to do 100% skill completion. We can do like 85% of the skills learned, and then we need to go unlock the other 15% after the game is over. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. Another thing I think we should talk about is obviously having Carl learn all these skills wouldn't be enough for a game. So I'm like, okay, so what if we continue the story with a sort of B plot? The B plot is Carl goes on a revenge quest. As we know, Jedi don't really revenge. The Jedi are like these holy people of the galaxy, so they're not supposed to revenge and such. Well, what if we have an encounter where Carl meets the clone who killed Jaro Tapal? For those who don't know, Jaro Tapal was Carl's master before Order 66. So what if Carl meets that clone who killed Jaro Tapal? And obviously he gets enraged and he wants to go on a revenge quest to find this clone. So maybe he'll go to point A where he finds this clone who knows the other clone. And so he finds out that the clone who killed Jaro is actually part of Darth Vader's 501st. For also those who don't know, the 501st is Vader's personal stormtrooper / clone squad, who are like his bodyguards. So we find out that the clone who killed Jaro Tapal is part of Darth Vader's 501st crew, and so Carl wants to go and kill him or something like that. However, at the end, Carl is able to realize that maybe he's going too far and that he should hold back, and he doesn't kill the clone, thus preventing himself from falling to the dark side. And I was also thinking, since we're dealing with Carl and all his emotions and him powering up, this could also lead into the third game. I know I'm already talking of a trilogy, yet the second game has only been announced. It's like amazing how I thought of this, because like the second game was only announced, yet I'm thinking as far as the third game. But for my opinions on what the third game could be is that in the third game, Carl could still be power hungry, trying to unlock as many skills as possible to fight Vader, and this could lead to the risk of him falling to the dark side. He thinks that he has the perfect team because his team consists of Grease, Dristus, the four-armed dude, Seer Junda, who's also a Jedi, and Marion, the Night Sister. And that's a pretty good team if you think about it. Carl has a pretty good team backing him up, and he could think that this team is enough, or at the very least suitable to fight Vader. Like he could think that this team is good enough to fight Vader and probably kill him or push him back or something like that, create a hole in the Empire. And so the problem is, in part 3, in like the third game, if they decide to make that, we could have Carl just be so engulfed in looking for power, he's consumed by that need to get more power, that he ends up even abandoning his friends. He abandons his friends and he goes searching for power on his own, thus still keeping it a single player game, mind you. And along the way, he realizes that he could be falling to the dark side. All this search for power and its lust, he could essentially end up falling to the dark side and becoming like Vader. The only problem is he could die if he joins the dark side, unlike Vader, who is not just a slave to the dark side but its ruler. Carl will not only become a slave, but he could die on his quest for power, thus bringing more drama into the story, as his friends have to stop him from going too far. And again, in that third game, you could have Carl die because he's not supposed to be in episode 4, so it could also make sense. Now, the last bit I want to talk about is the ninth sister. So, there are like 3 main villains in Jedi Fallen Order. We have we have the main villain of the game, that is the second sister, also known as Trilla. We have the ninth sister, who only shows up for about 1 or 2 levels, and we have Darth Vader, who's kind of like a final boss, though not really. He's just a temple run villain. So so with those 3 villains, the second sister is the main villain. The second sister is killed at the end of Fallen Order. And I'm like, I wonder what could happen afterward. In my opinion, I think we could deal with the ninth sister. As far as I'm concerned, I think there are like 10 Inquisitor brothers and sisters in total. I'm not fully sure, but I think there are 10 in total. As we know, the Grand Inquisitor is dealing with rebels. We know the 5th brother and 6th sister. The 5th brother and 7th sister are dealing with rebels as well. The 6th brother died in the Ahsoka book, so this kind of leaves the door open. Okay, what happened to the second sister? Well, we know the second sister is in the Jedi Fallen Order game. She dies at the end of that game. Okay, is there a 3rd brother? We don't know. Maybe they could be introduced later on. 3rd brother or sister. The 4th, we also know that's that's also kind of a mystery. The 7th brother sister, I don't know. I know something happened to them. And it's kind of a mystery as to what happened to the other Inquisitors. So we know that the 9th sister is around. And I know she has some fate in the comics. I honestly can't remember. I don't know what about the comics. But I do think that there is potential here. What happened is Vader killed the second sister because she apparently failed him. Or at least was going to betray him to turn to the light. So what could happen is at the beginning of the second game, Vader is training the 9th sister. He's training her to her max. He's pushing her beyond her own limits. And he sees her as a failure. He's like, I don't want you to become like the second sister. I don't want you to be a traitor to me. I need you to train your hardest so that you can kill the Jedi. And so obviously he ends up punishing and and sort of torturing her. And she's not liking this abusement from Vader. However, she feels she has to kill the Jedi. Problem is, Cal is stronger than her and he has defeated her on multiple occasions. And so like in the second half of the game, or like in the final few hours of the game, she will change her mind and decide to join Cal. She will help Cal on his revenge quest, and at the end of the game, she'll help Cal sneak into Mustafar so that he can fight Vader. And at the end of the game, when Vader has the rest of the crew pinned down, for example, Cal is like, we gotta fight Vader now. So Cal, Sia, Grease, and Merrin all fight Vader, all fail, unsurprisingly. And it seems like they're done for. Vader's cornering them and he's like, time for the Jedi to die. That's when the 9th sister swoops in at the last second and she fights Vader. She could even turn her double-bladed red lightsaber white so that she can show that she's really turned. Anyway, she buys Cal and the crew enough time to get on the Mantis and escape. However, she remains on Mustafar to fight Vader. The problem is, as she remains on Mustafar to fight Vader, Vader obviously kills her, but she's like, it doesn't matter, at least I was able to turn at the last second, thus giving the heroes another chance to escape. I don't know, that's an interesting idea to me. I think it's something that could work. I don't know if it would fully work. Again, that's just a fan fiction idea of mine. I don't really see them doing this. Though, again, it is a cool idea. And it would be interesting to see that in Fallen Order 2. So, guys, those are just my thoughts on what could happen in Jedi Fallen Order 2 if they get around to making the game. These are just my ideas I would like to put out. They're not really predictions because the story could literally go anywhere at this point in time. But they are what I think could happen. So, tell me down below, what do you think will happen in Jedi Fallen Order 2? What would you like to see in the new games? What did you think of Jedi Fallen Order 1? And do you think they'll push this out to be a full-on franchise or what? I don't know. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Also, I think they announced they're going to do an open world game, so I'm very interested to see where they're going to go with that. Anyways, guys, thank you so very much for watching. I have been Penguin Ninja. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And with that, goodbye. No outro for me.